on, sir. Shalom, Israel. We have the Judah family here this evening to discuss one of the most influential people in the Bible, and that is Moses. And we're coming to you today because we feel that needs to be done as a teaching that's been done about these different people in the Bible, but there's no understanding and no history that anyone can understand. So we're here to learn today. I'm going to be reading some things about Moses, and hopefully that we be able to get some understanding and enlightenment from it. All right, brothers and sisters?
All right.
All right. And we're going to start out with Moses because we're going to, go that one again. It says we're going to talk about the works of Moses. What was Moses' works? And we have, his works was to lead God's people out of Egypt and into the promised land. And his character was to say Moses enjoyed a depth of relationship with God that set him apart from every other figure in the Bible, in any other figure in the Old Testament, and enabled him to intercede powerfully on behalf of his people. Through a reluctant prophet, he obeyed God as he led the Israelites out of Egypt. Through him, God communicated his plan to forge a people unique in history, a people who belong to him. And that's what the Bible is saying, that Moses is going to start doing some things. He's going to bring his people out of the shadows of the Israelites. He's going to bring his people. He's going to do so many things that a lot of people don't understand and know what it was that Moses did. And so that's what this lesson is going to be about today. Anybody want to say anything?
No. Only other than I would think that we would get something really important out of the lesson, just to understand what Moses was all about, and also to be able to understand how he could have been afraid and nervous to do the things that Yahweh had required and asked him to do, and how we can stand strong to be able to do what Moses did.
And that's right, because, Moses had a lot of challenges, and so he had to withstand those challenges through the power of the Most High. He wasn't able to do it on his own merit. He had to have the Most High because the Most High chose him to do this work. And so we're going to read on. It says, to have been burdened with the leadership of a stiff-necked people. See, the same way they was yesterday is the same that they are today. That's how they was yesterday. They was a stiff-necked people, the same way today. A people whose failure to believe and obey God resulted in delaying their entrance into the promised land. You see, they delayed their entrance, their blessings, and everything that God had for them because they were disobedient. And so, while they wandered for 40 years in the desert, the wilderness, Moses died before entering the promised land. You see, these people were wicked people back then. And as we read on, it says his triumphs was, on numerous occasions, Moses encountered both the power and the love of God to such a degree that his face shone. Unlike other men, Moses spoke with God directly, face to face. You see, unlike other men, like I told you, he's one of the most influential men that's in the Bible. He's the first part of our history as far as getting us out of the hands of the Pharaoh and leading us out of Egypt. And so when we look at his story, it's a very, very interesting and intriguing story that it is about Moses, that a lot of people that say that they're Israelites, that they don't know. The most thing they know that Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, which is called the Torah. They know that Moses led them out of the hands of the Pharaoh when he said, "Let my people go." And that's like probably to the extent that a lot of people that say that they're Israelites know about Moses. And so we're going to learn some more about him today. It say 300 years had passed since Joseph's death in Egypt. By then, a new ruler had come to power, one who knew nothing of Joseph. This leader didn't know anything about Joseph. It said, fear that the Hebrews would soon outnumber and overpower his own people, this Pharaoh put slave masters over them to oppress them with forced labor. Same way we enforce labor today. Just because you got a job and they pay you a little bit, it's forced labor, because if you don't work, you don't eat. If you don't eat, you don't have shelter. If you don't have a job, you're not going to be able to take care of your family. So you're still in slavery today. A lot of us are retired slaves, but a lot of people are still working slaves out in the slave field today, no matter what your occupation is. And so, but the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. So the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites and worked them ruthlessly, making their lives bitter with labor. They work the devil out you. They work you from sun up to sundown and sun. And so the king of Egypt, still fearful of how rapidly the slave population was multiplying, gave the order to his people, throw every boy that is born into the Nile, but let every girl live. But 3-month-old Moses was hidden away by his mother and placed in a floating basket among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. When Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, she rescued the baby and made the child her own, naming him Moses and saying, I drew him out of the water. And that's why when we look at his name is associated with the phrase to give birth. And so we know that that was the Pharaoh's daughter that was out there bathing, and she saw Moses in the basket, and she came and claimed him as her own. And one day after Moses had grown up, he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. Glancing around to make certain no one could see him, Moses killed the Egyptian, buried his body in the sand. But Pharaoh learned what had happened and tried to kill Moses. So Moses fled to the desert of Midian, where he lived for 40 years. And during that time, the king of Egypt died. You see? What we have to start to understanding is that it wasn't the same Pharaoh from the beginning that it was at the end. That's what they was calling they pharaohs. They were kings, and they would refer to them as the king or the pharaohs. So it wasn't the first pharaoh that started this, that the one that died. There was many other pharaohs. And it says, but Pharaoh learned what had happened and tried to kill Moses. So he left and he ran to Midian. And he lived there for 40 years. And during that time, the king of Egypt died. Meanwhile, the Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out to God for deliverance. Just like it tells us in the Bible that deliverance is only for the Jews. These people are crying out today, just like they were crying out yesterday. But they are still stiff-necked, hard-headed, and obedient people. They have the same characteristics as their forefathers. Matter of fact, they may be worse than their forefathers were. And so through Moses, though Moses had married the daughter of a prominent man of Midian, forging a new life for himself in the desert, he still missed the sight and smell of Egypt. Fresh fish baking in the fire pit, ripe milling, slicing in glistering wedges, sleek white leeks, and savory onions that made even simple food a splendid meal. He feasted on such memories, recalling Egypt's palaces and monuments and long days spent sitting on the green edge of the Nile River, brothers and sisters, watching the muddy river swirl by and wondering what the future held for a privileged son of one of Pharaoh's daughters. See, being privileged, Moses had that education, but he had the education of the Egyptian. That's why God had to reteach him and told him to take off his shoes, because he had to be taught all over again how to teach God's people the way of the Israelites, their custom, traditions, and everything that they were having to deal with and live with. And so, but even the life-giving water of the great river could not tempt Moses back to the land. He had fled as an outlaw. His life now was in the desert, and the Mennonites had taught him how to live well enough in the sparse land. Today, as he led his father-in-law's flock to the far side of the desert, he could see Mount Hebron looming before him. Suddenly, through the waves of heat raising from the desert's floor, Moses noticed a bush engulfed in flame. And this is when he's talking about how he was face to face with God. He wondered how it was that this bush, though on fire, was not burning up. See, this bush was just there burning, it's burning, it's burning, it's burning. And the fire couldn't consume this bush. It was just there. That has never been seen before, and it perplexed Moses. And so what happened was Moses, that's what was saying, the sound that was coming from this bush. It say, Moses, Moses. The word came like sudden thunder from the midst of the flames. And what did Moses say? He said, what?
Here am I.
Here I am, he said. You see, Moses knew because the spirit had overtaken him. You see? And it said, do not come any closer, the voice warned him. It said, take off your sandals. See? You have to take off your sandals, take off your shoes, take off your sandals. For the place where you are standing is holy ground. That's right. Moses had never been on holy ground before because he had never been face to face with the Most High God. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. This is what is being said to him out of the burning bush. And it say Moses shook as he buried his face in his arms as though hiding from a vision that might destroy him. He was perplexed. He was scared. He had never encountered this thing before in his life. It said, I have seen the misery of my people in Egypt. This is what God is telling Moses. He said, I have seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. See, the Most High was still concerned about them disobedient and stiff-necked and hard-headed people. So I have come down to rescue them from the hands of the Egyptians. He made a special trip from up above to come down and rescue them from the Egyptians. And he said that, so I came down to rescue them and to bring them up out of the land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And so he said, now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. That said in the Bible where you say, go and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Israel is my firstborn. It says shaking still. Moses was still shaking. He was, Moses was scared as I don't know what. It says, shaking still Moses wailed. I mean, he was crying. Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? And why should the elders of Israel listen to me? Besides, I have never been good at speaking, O Lord. Please send someone else to do that for me. Send somebody. Moses was trying to get all kinds of excuses to not do this because he was afraid, because he didn't feel like he had any authority, especially when he came to encounter with the elders. He felt like he wasn't qualified. But God sent him anyway. And say, instead of giving in to Moses' fears, see, God did not give in to Moses' fear because he let Moses know, I am he. I am the one that made you. I'm the one that was talking to you, not nobody else. He said, oh Lord, he said, instead of giving into Moses' fear, God told him to throw his staff on the ground. And at once it turned into a snake, so real that he ran from it. He threw his staff down. And when he threw his staff down, it turned into a snake, and Moses got scared and started running. Reach out your hand and take it by the tail. That's what God told him to do. God said, fearing God more than he feared the snake. God said, fearing God more than fearing the snake, Moses grabbed it by the tail and it turned back into his staff. So God is showing him his power and showing him that he's giving him the order to go and tell the Pharaoh to let the people go and to talk to all the other people and to let them know that Moses know that I got your back. That's right. I got your back, brother. You ain't got to worry about nothing. You see? Then God relented and told Moses, your brother Aaron can speak to the people for you, and it will be as if he were your mouth, and as if you were God to him. Take this staff in your hand so you can perform miraculous signs with it. See? Because he had already seen a miraculous sign when God told him to throw that serpent down and it turned into a snake. And told him to pick it up by the tail, and what it do? It turned back into a staff again. So he's giving Moses power. He's giving Moses the confidence to know that he have a God that will defend him. Do anything. Don't matter who it is, the powerful person that he had ever faced, the Pharaoh, until he faced the Most High God. It's a, take this staff so you can perform all these miracles. So Moses returned to Egypt, one man against an empire. You see, one man against an empire. One man against an empire. It says, but when he went to Pharaoh saying, this is what the Lord, the Yahweh of Israel, says, let my people go. Pharaoh merely scoffed. Who is the Lord that I should obey him and let Israel go? Oh, bad boastful Pharaoh, sticking his chest out. I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go. See, he didn't. I don't know the Lord. I ain't gonna let him go. I'm gonna keep oppressing them. I'm gonna keep them in slavery. I'm gonna keep them in servitude. Who do you think you are? So right then, you would have think that Moses was scared or something. Yep. That he didn't have faith in God, that God was alive. You see? After that, God sent 10 terrible plagues on the Egyptians, the last of which was the worst. You see? I don't know God, but you will get an introduction with these plagues. Because what? I am God. You don't want to let my people go? You disrespecting my man that I sent? You don't know me? So I'm going to have you to deal with these plagues. See if you can handle that, Pharaoh. You see? And then he said, finally, Pharaoh relented, and Moses heard the word he had been waiting for. Up, leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go worship the Lord as you have requested. So Moses, the reluctant prophet, led the people out, carrying the bones of Joseph with him, just as Joseph had requested long ago when he lay dying. You see? After that, let me read this part for you. After that, God sent 10 plagues. They were terrible plagues on the Egyptians, the last of which was the worst. And that's why Pharaoh relented and let those people go. When we continue to look at one of the most integral persons in the Bible, Moses says, and a short while later, Pharaoh, whose stubbornness had no doubt made him stupid, pursued the Hebrew slaves, thinking to overtake them at the banks of the Red Sea. As his army drew near, the terrified Israelite cried out to Moses, was it because there was no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? See, now they are stiff-necked and hard-headed and disobedient and unthankful people, very ungrateful people. So they were doubting Moses. You see? The same way they doubt our God today. The same way they doubt the prophets when they're out there on the streets teaching today. They're doing the same thing then. They're doing the same thing today. Brothers and sisters, let's get this thing together. It said, thinking to overtake them at the banks of the Red Sea. He said, the army drew near. It said, what have you done to us when you were bringing us out here so we could die? We didn't have no graves. Now you bringing us out here and to die out here? That's what these old stubborn people are saying to Moses. You don't let us die here. He said, what have you done? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert. They're crazy. They rather go back and serve in servitude to the slave master. Master? Hey, master? They don't say master, they say master. Master? Then to be free.
Isn't that what happened to the slaves?
That's what happened to the slaves. When they let the slaves go in 1865, what happened? They didn't have nowhere to go, so what did they do? They turned right back around and started working for their slave masters. And that's what's happening today. We're still in slavery today, brothers and sisters. Don't think that we're not. We are in slavery today. And we're going to be in slavery until the Most High God returns. Because they hollering about, it would have been better for us to have served the Egyptians than to die in the desert. It's saying that Moses was telling, do not be afraid. Moses shouted to the crowd, don't be afraid of these people. Don't be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. If we don't be afraid today, brothers and sisters, God has a deliverance for us. That's right. All we got to do is hold on to his mighty hand, and he will deliver us from the bondage of America. That's what he will do. It says, and the Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The bondage and the slavery and all the things that you saw, that you went through, you will never see again. But you came over here to America and you was being the same way towards your God. And he put you back in the same situation that you was over there in Egypt, just in modern day times. That's all. It say, don't be afraid, Moses, you know what I'm saying? He say, because today the Lord is going to bring you for your deliverance. It say, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Be still. Have faith. Don't fret. Don't have fear. Just be still. And that I am God. And that I will do all the things that I promised my prophet Moses. And so then Moses raised his staff and stretched his hand over the sea. and a strong east wind began blowing, turning the water into dry land, and enabling the Israelites to cross over with a great wall of water on their right and on their left. Anybody got anything they want to say on this?
Just when you were reading where it talked about stand firm and stand still, it just doesn't mean just to stand still and do nothing. It means to stand still in his word. Believe that what he's going to, whatever you're going through, he's going to bring you through. So it's not just about, okay, I don't have to do anything because he says stand still. No, it's about we still have actions. We have things that we still have to do, just like Moses did. He still had things to do. Even though these people were hard-headed, stiff-necked, he still pushed on. And then that's what we got to do as individuals and as a tribe together.
Go ahead.
And the Pharaoh had the Israelites in slavery, their oppression.
Yeah.
You oppressed them.
You oppressed them.
They did.
But see, we have to understand that who we belong to. See, the Israelites, they had a problem knowing who they belonged to. They knew that they had a powerful father because they had been dealing with all the customs and witchcraft and demonologies and all those things of the Egyptians. Homosexuality, all that, cutting your head, shaving, all the things of the Egyptians, they were learning and continue to live and deal in their customs because they were in servitude there. And it say, as the Israelites neared the eastern edge of the sea, Moses looked back again. Incredibly, Pharaoh's army was still pursuing them. See? Pharaoh was still pushing forward. Because you remember that the roughest plague that they didn't say anything about? This is what it's talking about. This is the roughest plague that Pharaoh went through. It said that they saw that Pharaoh was still pursuing them into the sea itself. It says suddenly, inexplicably, the wheels of their chariots fell off, throwing horsemen and chariots into confusion, throwing them all over the place. You see, it was throwing them into confusion. Once the last Israelite had crossed over, once the last Israelite had crossed over the Red Sea, Moses again stretched out his hand, and the sea rushed back to its place. See, God took the sea out of its place for the Israelites to cross through. And then once the last Israelite had crossed through, God put the sea back in its place. See? What is that miraculous?
It sure is.
That's one of the miraculous signs that the Israelites saw.
I don't know nobody who can do that.
I don't know nobody that can do it.
But they believe in the name.
Yeah. It say all that was left of the pursuing army were the corpses of horses and men floating in the water. That was the only thing that was left. You see the dead body, the corpse, the chariots, the horses, everything you saw was floating out there in the water.
Yep.
Standing on dry land. See, now we're on dry land. We safe. We on safe. We safe now. We've been delivered. But the Israelites, they still don't realize that they've been delivered. Because they're stiff-necked and hard-headed. It says now that what? Standing on dry land, on dry land, Moses threw up his hands in the sky and sang this song. It said, I will sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has hurled into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will praise him. My father's God, and I will exalt him. That's the song that Moses sung to the Most High God. It say, but then Moses and all the people had watched the defeat of an enemy who had seemed invincible in military power that had oppressed them year after year, decade after decade. Their bondage, so brutal and harsh, has finally come to an end, brought about by the wondrous love of a powerful Yahweh. Lord have mercy. Y'all better come back to the Most High God. He's the same God yesterday, today, and forever, and he don't change. If he can do those things yesterday, don't you know, brothers and sisters, he can do those things today. Without a doubt, he can do those things for you. Just unloosen your neck, because your neck is a little stiff. You're a Scottish people. Turn from your wicked ways and come back to the Most High God. He is able to do any, all, and everything. There should be no doubt in him. There should be no serving other gods. He is the one true Yahweh. That's right. And above him, there is no other God. He's showing you right here that there's no other God. Am I right, brothers and sisters? That's right. He's a powerful God. Anybody have anything to say?
No, just can I read this one scripture?
Yes, you can.
And it ties in what we're talking about tonight. I mean, it's a real short scripture. Exodus chapter 14, verse 14. It says, the Lord shall fight for you.
He shall do what?
Fight for you.
No, the Lord is going to let Pharaoh continue to oppress you.
Fight for you.
Read.
And ye shall hold your peace.
See? You shall hold your peace. It's the same way that it is when you got all these people running around. All these people want to get out there and do what? Protest. They want to march. What did God say, sister?
He said, the Lord shall fight for you.
He shall do what for us?
Fight for you.
The Lord shall fight for us, brothers and sisters.
And ye shall hold your peace.
And you shall hold your peace. That means that be still.
That's right.
Just like he was telling those people, like Moses was telling those people, be still. Just have faith. That's right. Just trust and believe. What I'm telling you, we have someone that will fight for us to the end. Just like he fought for us in the wilderness. Just like he fought for us when we was coming through the Red Sea, when we didn't see any possibility to be victorious. But we gained the victory. That's right. Because we was on the side of the undefeated. Brothers and sisters, get it right. Yes. You are Israelites. God's chosen people. Yesterday, and you are the same people today. Of course, you're still stiff-necked and hard-headed. Read that scripture one more time for me, sister.
Exodus chapter 14, verse 14. And the Lord shall fight for you.
And he shall fight for you.
And ye shall hold your peace.
And ye shall hold your peace. That's a past time scripture for a modern day problem.
Yeah.
Because he's the same God yesterday, today, and forever. We need to stop doubting our God. And don't worry about putting trust in public officials, putting trust in lawmakers, putting trust in the preachers. Black Lives Matters, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, all these people. Put your trust in God. Brother, get me the book of Acts chapter 5 and 29, and I want you to read that for me, please. Because we have to continue to be regressive. I mean, not keep coming and saying the same thing over and over and over again, because our people are stiff-necked. They're hard-headed and contrary to what God's will is for our lives. Read what you got, brother.
Exodus chapter 5 and verse
Acts
chapter 5 verse 20.
29. Yes, sir.
Then Peter and the other apostles
answered
and said, we ought to obey God rather than man.
We ought to obey God rather than who?
Than man.
No, I'm going to obey God. I'm going to obey that man.
Wherever that man,
Read on, brother.
the Yahweh of our fathers raised up Yahushua,
Read.
who he slain and hanged on a tree. Him have Yahweh exalted with his right hand
Read on.
to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance to Israel and for forgiveness of sins.
See, the same way, repentance. Give us another chance.
That's right.
Salvation. Deliver us from all these atrocities and everything that we've gone through. Give me that in the book of Daniel chapter 9 and 12. I think it's 12, sister. Let's see what it is. Yes. Yes. Let's read Daniel chapter 9 and let's look at verses look at 11. Let's look at Daniel chapter 9 and verse 11. Read 10 and 11. It's on page 1073.
Chapter 9, verse 11.
10 and 11, yes. 9, 10, and 11.
Daniel chapter 9, verse 10. Neither have we obeyed the voice of the Lord our God.
See, we didn't obey the voice of the Lord our God. We wanted to turn back and go back to Egypt and be under slavery instead of be free. Read.
To walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants, the prophets. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law.
All what?
All Israel have transgressed thy law.
The Bible says that all Israel has transgressed the laws. Read.
Even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice.
Even by departing, they still didn't want to obey the Most High's voice. Even by departing from that Red Sea, they didn't want to obey the Most High's voice. Read.
Therefore, the curse is poured upon us.
What do you think we're going through today?
Yeah.
We're going through curses today. We're going through curses because we won't come back to the God of our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as well as Noah. We won't come and change from our wicked ways and start serving the Most High God and not these fake gods that can't do us any good. Read, sister.
And the oath that is written in the law of Moses.
That are written in the laws of who?
Moses.
Who brought us to the Red Sea?
Moses.
Read.
The servant of Yahweh. Because we have sinned against him.
We have sinned against our God. Read.
12. And he hath confirmed his words, which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil.
By bringing upon us what?
A great evil.
No, we brought salvation.
A great evil.
Read.
For under the whole earth, under the whole heaven, hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem.
Read.
As it is written in the law of Moses.
See, all these things are written in the laws of Moses, in the first 5 books of the Bible, which is called the Torah. Read, sister.
All this evil is come upon us. Yet made we not our prayer before the Lord our God, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand thy truth.
Read.
Therefore hath the Lord watched upon the evil and brought it upon us.
The Lord brought these things against you. Nobody else is powerful enough to bring them against you because you are the Israelites. It took God to bring these things against you. Read.
For the Lord our God is righteous in all his works, which he doeth, for we obeyed not his voice.
Read on, sister.
And now, O Lord our God, that has brought thy people forth out of the land of Egypt.
Out of where?
Land of Egypt.
Read.
With a mighty hand, and has got thee renowned as at this day.
Read.
We have sinned, we have done wickedly.
Read on, sister. We got to read this. Read on.
O Lord, according to all thy righteousness, I beseech thee, let thine anger and thy fury be turned away from the city of Jerusalem, thy holy mountain, because for our sins and for the iniquities of our fathers.
Wait a minute, for the iniquities of who?
Our fathers.
See, even the fathers, because the fathers were supposed to have been teaching the law, statutes, and commandments to the children and the children's children, but they didn't do that because they were contrary to what God's will was as well. And what's happening now, sister? We don't.
Jerusalem and thy people are become a reproach to all that are about us.
Read.
Now therefore, our God, hear the prayer of thy servant.
Now they want you to hear the prayers of Moses. See, now they want to listen. Now they want to come. Now they want Moses to be a representative for them to go and talk to the Most High. Oh God, hear your servant. See, read.
And his supplications,
and
cause thy face to shine.
Whose face was shining?
Moses.
Moses' face was shining. Read, sister.
Upon thy sanctuary that is desolate for the Lord's sake. Oh my God, incline thy ear and hear.
Do what?
And hear.
Now they're begging for the Most High God to hear them, but they haven't changed from their wicked ways. Read.
Open thine eyes and behold our desolation.
Read, sister.
And the city which is called by thy name.
What's that city? Jerusalem. Read, sister.
For we do not present our supplications before thee for our righteousness.
Wait a minute. For what?
For our righteousness.
But for what?
But for thy great mercy.
See, those are things that we qualify for.
That's
if we
right.
want to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Grace, mercies, and everything. But now we are what? Evil has been amongst us. Why? Because the Most High God sent that evil to us. Am I right?
That's right.
Read, sister.
O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hearken.
They want the Lord to listen to him now. Read.
Defer not for thy own sake. Oh my God.
Oh, they calling him by what?
Oh my God.
Oh, they calling him now. Read.
For thy city and thy people are called by thy name.
Read on.
And whilst I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and thy sin of my people Israel, and presenting my supplication.
This is Moses. Read.
Before the Lord my God, for the holy mountain of my God.
Read on.
Yea, whilst I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel,
Read on.
whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the servant oblation.
Read on.
And he informed me and talked with me.
He did what?
Talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee that skill and understanding.
See? See, this is what's happening, brothers and sisters. The same thing, it ain't changing. This is what we were just got through reading when we was talking about Moses.
Yeah.
It's telling you about what God said, that he was going to bring these things against you that has never before been seen. There are so many different people that holler about they are the Jews, that they are the Israelites, but they are the things that has happened and the events in the Bible don't match up with their history. You see, there's no such thing as anybody going through the atrocity that the Israelites has gone through, preferably the Jews. But even over here in America, we have Issachar, the so-called Mexicans. We have all these different people. We have the Puerto Ricans. We have the Colombians. We have the people from Brazil. We have the people from Colombia, all these places. But nobody has gone through the atrocities as the tribe of Judah has gone through. We are a people that is desolate from the Most High God. We don't want to turn from our wicked ways. We love the standards of the world today that we live in. It's just like we're living over in Egypt. When they were questioning Moses, and they say, why did you bring us all the way out here for us to die? It would have been best for us to have died in Egypt. At least we would have had a grave
Yeah.
You see? And it's the same thing that it is over here in America.
That's right.
You don't want to flee from the wicked ways of America. Therefore, you're going to continue to be captives in this land because God put you under all these evils that is going against you. And brothers and sisters, we will have another class coming up Wednesday, and we're going to continue to talk about one of the most influential men in the Bible, and his name is Moses. And before we close, do any of the brothers and sisters have anything they want to say? Sisters, you got anything you want to say to the sisters out there, to the Israelite sisters out there in the world that's being contrary to God's will?
Nope, only other than, it's really time for our sisters to wake up. We got to wake up out this sleep of what the customs of the world is allowing our minds to continue to think that it's all right. We have the word of God.
That's right.
We have our laws. We have our statutes. Everything that the Most High has already ordained for us to have, we got to come back. Because it's not about, let me do it my way, or I'm already comfortable the way I dress, the way I want to speak to somebody. No, it's all about the Most High. We got to put him first. If we don't put him first, then you're going to be last. You're going to be left in that, what do you call it, that bottomless pit that continues to fall. But I'm truly begging and asking our sisters to wake up, because there's Black Lives Matter, and that's not the way to go. You got to support your brothers out there that is on this, we're going to say this battlefield, that is truly out there bringing the word out. You got to support your husbands. You got to support your brothers and your sisters out there, because we need our sisters out there more. We got to come back to the Most High, and that is all real.
All praises to the Most High. Brother, do you have anything you want to tell the young people out there today?
Yeah, I expect the young people to do the same thing, to come back to the Most High, keep his laws, statutes, and commandments.
Amen. That's what we got to do. And brothers and sisters, we really was looking at this to be just a home class, but the Spirit was upon us this evening that we should go forward with what we always do. And I would like for the brothers and the sisters, I would like the brothers to stand up. All double honors to all the brothers that are out there on the street corners all over America and abroad. Double honor to you, as well as the elders and the bishops and everybody. All praise to the Most High for giving us strong and powerful men that are willing to put their lives on the line out there to bring our people this truth. That's what's so important. That we got our Bibles. Brothers got their Bibles open all over the world now. Israel is waking up, and we can't let them fall back asleep. And with that, we say what, brothers and sisters? Shalom.
Shalom.
Peace to America. I mean, death to America, but peace to Israel. That was good.
That's right.
That was good. You gonna put that on or what? Leave it there. Because that was really good. I like the way y'all spoke up. Speaking of